Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast, where we explore therapy, Kundalini Yoga, and all things holistic wellness. I'm Hannah Zachney, LMFT, International Retreat Leader, and Curious Human. Whether you're tuning into us via social media or any of the major podcast platforms, we're so grateful to have you here. Here's to opening our hearts and exploring life together. Welcome to the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. I am thrilled today to have my friend, my yoga person. There's so many ways I could describe Diana. Diana Vitantonio has been in my world for almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
We've known each other a while. And probably the first decade more from afar in the yoga room, but in the yoga room all the time together. She was one of my first teachers here in this area. I have we've both been practicing yoga for about 25 years, or probably even more for both of us at that time, and teaching a lot of the time. But when we met, I was a student. I'd taken a break from teaching and really needed her in my life. And her teaching is so beautiful, so profound. It speaks to so many. Your bio is such a true reflection. I was reading it, and it's a reflection of like how I see you, and I think how so many students feel. You have a way in your teaching that feels so intentional, like you're talking directly to each and every one of us. And sometimes you are. You're very good about knowing who's in the room, directing uh, calling names out in a way that isn't like scary or intimidating, but a way that's like inclusive and makes you feel like really a part of the community. Additionally, you are, as your bio says, an amazing storyteller. So much of your class is a beautiful way to receive information in a beautiful way. So definitely have an art. And with this, and then I will just, before I just kind of like share a little bit more of her professionally, I think the last, I don't know how many years, but the more recent years, being in your presence has been increasingly special, and trust building, I think. And I now actually am I guess I work for you at some level, which is funny. And so I started teaching again, and I was practicing at the studio, and I've taught here and there other places. And then again, I was taking another break, and you approached me after class one day after you had taken over and created Yoga Nyla, which I'll let you tell the story of your yoga journey later. But and you said, "Do you want to teach?" And I said, "No." And I walked away. And then I think I came back. I don't know if it was that day or the next day, might have been even like a little bit ago, but same day. And just like, I lied. I do, but I need it to be collaborative, and I need it to be like this. And it wasn't I just have to have it my way, just more, I really want it to be powerful, and I want it to be special, and I want to be heard. And you're one of the first in yoga studio owners, I think, in my experience, that is able to really hold space for individuals. Um, and I just really appreciate the space that you hold for me, for teachers, for others, for students. It's quite powerful. And the fact that you've done that for so many years, and I've witnessed you do it for so many years, is much of the reason why I wanted to have you here today.
Wow. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. And that really it really touched my heart. Thank you for saying all of those things. And I'm so glad that you're in my life. And you are a teacher to me. Um, and you're so powerful. And I love um that we can work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think we work together quite well.
Yeah, it feels really good.
Yeah. So Diana has been teaching yoga for 25 years. She's the founder of Yoga Nyla. She's a lifelong entrepreneur, senior yoga teacher. She's trained hundreds. She, as I mentioned, is known for her unique combination of physical competency, storytelling, profound wisdom, and curated playlists that make for an unmatched experience the girl does like some drama in her music.
I do.
So that is a very fun thing in her class. And I really relate to that too. Part of my favorite thing about being a yoga teacher is being a sideline DJ, I think.
Correct. Me too.
Right?
I love it.
The best. And she also has written a book, The High Voltage Life, which she has used to teach and empower women, and is always up to new ways to grow, to expand, to teach, to learn, and all the things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Did I leave anything out about how amazing you are?
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's just start off with this question because we are in class together a lot, and so we hear each other share kind of what's on our hearts on those days because that's kind of how we teach both of us from our hearts.
Mhm.
And so this podcast is, and my work is everything heart wide open. And what does it mean to you to live, to do life with your heart wide open?
You know, I've I've thought about this question, and um it seems so simple to have your heart wide open. And um to me it's about maybe unlearning some of old ways of being. So for me, I think I've had to live in a place of being heart wide open. I think I've had to notice and unlearn a lot of fear. So I think for a long time, and I can recall many instances of being just, it's almost like afraid to live,
Mm,
afraid to be criticized, afraid of failing, afraid of not being liked,
mhm.
and then trying life that way and realizing that that didn't feel good. And then learning this way of being open. And I hope that I am. And I'm sure I'm still learning how to be open.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's um, not being afraid to be alive, really.
Yeah. So I asked you that question before today, and there was a part of your answer that was you had not always lived that way.
Yeah.
What does how was it different and why? And what got you to the place to kind of make the shift?
I think it I think pain created the shift. Relationships not working out, jobs not working out, um, me putting myself in situations that I thought would last forever, which
Mhm.
now I know, nothing does. But I opened up my first yoga studio when I was 24, and I opened up my second yoga studio when I was 29, and um, it didn't last very long. And I think it was because I didn't have the skill set or the bravery to speak up
Mm,
for myself and to trust what I was feeling on the inside. And I think I did what I thought I should do
mhm.
or what people wanted me to do. And it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And it probably didn't feel good for the other person too. But, you know, I, one of the things is I really didn't know how to communicate and have a hard conversation
Mhm.
with people. So I never really felt like I was being authentic, really,
Yeah.
for a really long time.
It's ironic because this morning I was thinking about this concept and I wonder if it brings up a for you or if it's part of your story. But I think that learning to ask for what you really want or really speaking your truth is part A.
Hmm.
And part B, and I'm sure there's many more parts that I'm ignoring right now, but for the simplicity of this, part B is having somebody that is willing to hear you.
Right.
Right. It's not just learning to speak up for yourself, but it's also being more selective in who you are surrounding yourself with and holding yourself to and others to a standard of this is how I want to be treated too. So it's part A, part B.
I absolutely agree with
Mhm,
you. Yeah,
mhm,
because if you are speaking up, but you're not being heard,
mhm,
then there is that hard decision of, are
mhm,
we in a
mhm,
are we supposed to be in a relationship?
mhm,
Yeah, I agree. And I think boundaries a lot of times are conversations.
mhm,
They're conversations and they can be bendable. Like if you and I see two different ways, but we sit down and we talk, then oh, I can see your perspective. And
and we've done that, by the way.
we have done that.
We
Yeah,
have.
we've absolutely done that. And I love that.
Yeah.
And we've come to
Mhm,
um an agreement, which would, you know, in one instance, it was different than the way I started. I
mm,
changed my mind, and I love that,
mhm.
and I think it should be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So pain, what you share some in your classes and of your pain and of your story, and I'm so grateful for pain, right? And
Right.
I just think it's advanced gratitude to be grateful for the pain because it's the fuel to propel you into the next best version of whatever is next.
I agree.
What kind of pain has been your motivator? And maybe even just share to the level that you want, maybe just part of your story that's relevant to that.
I think, um, I do think that there's some of the greatest pain that I think I've gone through in relationships is them ending,
Mm,
you know, and then asking myself what happened. Y-
because you take on the responsibility of that, or because the
Um,
grief of it being over,
Yeah, I
or
think the grief of it being over and like what happened and
mhm,
um what was my part
mhm,
in that ending. And sometimes things end because someone's growing and they're moving on and it's just
mhm,
time to say goodbye and that's really lovely. And
yeah,
even though it's difficult, it's just kind of like lovely when someone says, Diana, I have to leave because I'm growing. This happens a lot, Um, people quit because they're moving on and they're growing. And as hard as that might be, it feels really great. And then there's, um, maybe betrayal or, feeling like the rug was swept from underneath you or, um, feeling, yeah, I mean, betrayal or something like that would be like, how did I contribute to that? And I think what it comes down to is, um, I- for me, a lot of times it was not having boundaries,
mhm,
right? Not, um, there are a lot of relationships that I was in and I knew probably should have ended before it did.
mhm,
And the choice to stay, even though I knew it was kind of over, created more pain for both parties,
yeah,
me and the other person.
yeah,
And it doesn't feel good to hurt yourself, and it doesn't feel good to hurt someone else. And so I think there was, I think a lot of that, al- allowed me to go. I have to take better care of
mhm,
myself and the people I'm in relationship with.
mhm,
I have to
yeah,
speak up and actually say, "Oh, this I don't like this. This doesn't feel good.
mhm,
This isn't working for me. No, I don't actually like doing that.
mhm,
I'm more into this," or
mhm.
whatever it might be.
So how do you listen to that sooner? And then it also, when you say feel good, one thing I immediately hear being in your class over so many years is the Wayne Dyer, to feel good is to feel God, right?
Yeah,
So to feel, if you could just expand on that. Yeah. What that means to you.
yeah. The whole to feel God thing, the feel good
Well,
thing.
yeah, yeah. And then just, I mean, I think it's just also where you were going with how do you tune into in relationship or in something that you're in life. This is a huge part of self-care is recognizing, my time here is not useful anymore to me, or
Mhm.
like this relationship, this business adventure, this whatever this
Mhm.
is no longer serving both parties in most cases. But really, you're worrying about not in a selfish way, but you're in charge of you, right? So you're
Yeah.
worrying your side.
Yeah, and, and I believe you feel God by feeling your body,
Hmm.
being connected to your intuition, which is, it's hard to explain what intuition is because there's not really a language around it. It's do
Yet.
you listen? Right. Do you listen? Do you feel? But I find that it's easy to hear my inner voice. It's easy to hear my intuition when I'm because I've kind of made being in my body my home,
Hmm.
where I haven't always been that way. I didn't really know how to be in my skin. I didn't really know how to feel, um, period, for a really long time. I used a lot of things to escape. I know I even used yoga to escape for a while,
Hmm.
and wasn't really sure how to really hear or feel um, my inner voice. And that's what feels really good. I think I'm just, I'm in it now. I'm here. I'm also in my body.
Hmm. What got you to that point to be less willing to escape? Be more willing to just stay in
It,
your.
yeah, it took a really long time. I
Yeah.
mean, it really took a long time. Maybe I tried everything before I finally yoga helped.
Like, what'd you try?
Um,
And I say this because people listening also are trying.
right.
And it's so helpful to know, just what all did you do? And not that what worked for you is going to work for anybody else, but it's just so useful.
It is. I honestly, I'm so grateful for yoga because when I'm on my yoga mat, really one of the greatest things, and this it sounds so simple, yet it is difficult. And I do think that this works is when I'm in a physical practice and we're going through obstacles and it's challenging, it's physically challenging. I really lovingly ask myself to feel it. And not in a way like stay in it, um, but yeah, can I feel that throbbing in my thigh
Hmm.
and not shrink away? And I think the more that I do that, the more I
Hmm.
practice that, the more I can go, oh, I can feel that throbbing in my heart when I have to go up to someone and say, no, thank you.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
no, this
Live with
is,
the intensity, whatever it is,
yeah,
and
living with,
keep
yeah,
going forward. Hmm.
and keep going forward.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I do feel like um, one of my best choices in my life um, is being sober, and
Hmm.
that's really helped me um,
Hmm.
live with intensity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not have an escape at the end of
Yeah.
the day, which I used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's a part of your life now, right? I mean,
totally. Yeah, it's a huge part of my life, and I just wouldn't go back
Mhm.
unless I was really trying to hurt myself. But I don't think I'm there.
Mhm.
Anymore, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not there now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think it's responsible to have, you're in this moment because this is the moment that you're in,
Right.
right? So that's what
Yeah,
you can speak to.
correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What kind of advice, or not even really advice, but just what do you know now that you didn't know then in regards to being in recovery? Is that what you call it for you, or do you?
Yeah.
I mean, terms are so personal. I don't want to overspeak. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I didn't realize how much happier I would be
Mhm.
being in recovery and being sober. I felt like I was, using drugs and alcohol, to feel better
Mhm.
and to feel better, but I actually feel better now.
Yeah.
And I don't think would have known unless I've actually gone through it.
Mhm.
And a lot of it is, probably what alcohol and drugs actually do to your brain.
Mhm.
But bigger than that is I know I'm not hiding
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I was really doing a lot of it, especially towards the end in front of anyone.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
was I was doing it in isolation. No one really
Mhm.
knew but me.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the self-respect
Mhm.
that I do now because I'm not hiding who I am.
Mhm.
I'm just going, oh, this is me.
Mhm. So most people make that decision. I mean, well, most people, it's a decision, and then it's you have to redecide and redecide and redecide, right? That's and then at one point, all of it becomes, what the damage that's caused by not making that decision becomes less powerful, less important, less something than the opportunity that's on the other side, right? Like the beauty that's on the other side of what you're saying is, I didn't realize I could be so happy over here,
Hmm.
right? Until you can like actually say, well, if you think you're happy over here, of course you're going to stay over here, right? But then the
Exactly.
minute you start to open up the window, it might be actually better over here. Neither's perfect. I found that out, right? So
Correct.
maybe it's going to be better over here. Like, when did that kind of where in your life, what was going on, what helped you with that?
Yeah, I went through um an experience in 2019. I actually had a stalker for 8 years of my life, and in 2019 he sent me a death threat,
So
and
scary.
it was really scary. And he came to a place where I was teaching, and he walked into that place with a loaded gun in his pants. And no one got hurt, luckily. The police ended up coming, and he got arrested. He's in prison now. And I was, a victim in a criminal case.
Mhm.
And that experience really brought me to like a next level in my addiction,
Okay.
where I had, before that point, felt like I could party on the weekend and
Mhm.
then put it down. Um, and I started drinking every day. And not only that, but I had all this rage inside of me, and I started to become really angry, and I saw it.
Mhm.
Even though I was like drinking to black out,
Mhm.
I there were moments where I could see myself getting really rageful and angry, and I thought, uh-oh.
Mhm.
And I was really kind of in a really interesting place where I was so scared because someone tried to take my life, and then simultaneously, I kind of didn't even want to be alive anymore. It was a really interesting place because um, here I was so upset that someone might try and take my life for me, but I also, on some level, was like, just really didn't know. Um, Maybe I didn't know how to be alive anymore. And I was really didn't know how to feel all the feelings I was feeling
Mhm.
around all of it.
Mhm.
And so that was the time I knew I needed help. I brought myself into trauma therapy,
Mhm.
and my trauma therapist was like, "You need to be sober."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you received that
I did.
just like that?
I did. And I don't think it happened that day,
Right.
but I did. I heard it.
Yeah.
I heard it, and I trusted her.
Mhm.
And I knew that I wanted to get better.
Mhm.
I knew I wanted to get better. And I knew I needed help, and I was willing to like take what she said. Um, but like, I knew I wanted to get sober. Did it happen that day? No, because I didn't know how to also know how to stop.
Well, then your brain chemistry has to catch up and I mean, there's so many other
Yeah,
aspects to that,
but yeah,
but
I wanted it.
there was something that was a definite shift in the trajectory in that moment.
Yeah. 'Cause I knew I was really kind of at the on a bridge of, "Do you really wanna fuck your life up?"
Mhm,
And I think I had too much shame too.
mhm.
I think I, was in a place where I felt like too many people were watching.
Which I think at some level you probably put yourself in that position,
Right.
right? Like you, that was probably a little bit of your subconscious safety net is to, like, people are counting on me to show up, to
Yes.
teach, to do this, to do that.
Correct.
And people look up to me. How can I do this?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. So
Kind of a way that you were loving yourself from in a
yeah.
very strange way.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Absolutely, so part
Hmm.
of it was, like, I couldn't just
Hmm.
really hide because I had to show up
Hmm.
for people, and that I
Hmm.
cared about that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
How did that translate on your yoga mat in the way that you just were with yourself, that you practiced with yourself, that you maybe meditate? I know you meditate, that you just being with yourself.
Being alone doesn't feel lonely because the love's in the room,
Yeah.
and my own love for being with myself. I know you know a lot about, inner child work and, like, being your own mother, and I feel like I understand what that means. It's not just language that I hear, but it's something that I do with myself.
Mhm.
I am my own mother. Um, I do feel myself when I'm scared, and then there's, like, another part of me that is just here holding myself.
Mhm.
So when I'm feeling pain, there's, like, this inner mother that just boom, she comes up, and she's pretty strong now, and she's just willing to be there for me. So, yeah, it feels really loving.
Well, and safe and secure and protected and,
Yeah.
free to live, because if you have that fierce mother part, right?
Yeah.
And you clearly you've done your work, because if you can have that come up, then that is, and I think that's what I feel in the presence of your classes is you have become, and I said those words not planning to, but like I've been trusting you more in your class, and I think it's because you've trusted yourself
Correct.
more.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, correct, and isn't it it's what a confirmation that energy doesn't lie, and you know
No.
that you can't hide from really the inner work if
Hmm.
if you want everyone around you to feel it. But yeah, I agree. I think that I have allowed myself to be safe within myself, and I'm hoping, and as you said, it does translate and people feeling safer around me too.
Hmm. And it's not your responsibility to make everybody feel safe.
Correct. Correct. It's
Right.
everyone else's own responsibility to
Yes.
make them feel safe. But yes,
Yes.
I do understand and take my role seriously as a teacher.
Hmm.
And I do think that it is a serious role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has that shifted you as a business person? Because I love therapy, but I also love business, and I'm always,
Oh yeah.
expanding and trying to do different things. And how can I make that happen? And I just love all that. And I know there's a part of you that must as well, and I know that does, because I mean you are very much your own entrepreneur. You
Right.
own your studio, you run your show, and you've done that, like you said, opening this studio at what, 24, then 29, and then more recently. So,
Yeah.
how has this shifted what you're capable of feeling, um, that you can, the bandwidth that you have, and how you interact with and lead in those ways, and what's possible for you?
I think it was this great opportunity of me opening up Yoga Island in 2022 that allowed me to, and this was the first time that I had opened up a yoga studio by myself.
Hmm.
In the past, I had business partners,
Hmm.
and so here I am, um, doing this by myself, and what it's been such a gift to me because it's allowed me to really grow up in the sense that there's I can't run from
Yeah.
all the things that come up, and a lot of things do.
Yeah.
I can't run from all the hard conversations. I can't run from the bills. I can't run from the responsibility.
Yeah.
It allows me to really show up. And in that showing up, for the business, I'm also showing up for myself,
So
right?
much. Yeah.
And proving to myself that I am trustworthy.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been a really huge gift,
Yeah.
um, being an entrepreneur.
Something I take away from your classes a lot and build on when I share too, because I understand it, but you say it in a fun way of, people that when you show up for yourself, you just trust yourself more,
Yeah.
and I think that's a lesson that you have learned and then you pass that on. And it gives your students a lot of faith in those moments to be, I'm going to stay, even though my psoas feels like it's going to fall off my leg,
Right.
I'm going to stay. And then I will trust myself more when I take myself off this mat. And it's true.
It
It's
is true.
absolutely true.
Yeah, it is true. And I also, and this isn't, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone else, but sometimes I want to make sure that if I'm asking you to do something that I can do it
Yes.
and that I do it. Where um I think sometimes you wonder if someone's asking you to do it. That sometimes I want to be like, do you? Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like when you're teaching, I feel the same. Like you're
Mhm.
in it, and I know that you're doing it. You're
Mhm.
right there in the work
Mhm.
too. And I see you doing the work too. And so that makes me trust you. And I
Mhm.
feel that that's important to me as a teacher
Mhm.
is that it's not just you following my direction,
Mhm.
but you're understanding that I'm doing this work too. And I would not ask you to do something that
Mhm.
I wasn't doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm working my butt off when no one's watching,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
when no one's watching, working my butt off so that I can come and have integrity.
I believe that's true. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. What do you think's the most misunderstood things about you?
Ooh. um, well, we should have some people.
I have no agenda for this question.
No, I know.
I just know that when you're a public person-ish, in our community, like you've been around a long time and you've done some amazing things. And, there's people only get to know you at a certain level too.
True. Yeah,
You know?
it's true. And I know that there are a lot of people that really do just love me and thank God. And there are people that, not their cup of tea.
Mhm.
And what do they see about me? I don't know. Maybe I mean I think I find it loving when people are straight shooters.
Yeah.
And so I am blunt.
Mhm.
And maybe some people don't love my way
Mm.
um, of communicating. I don't know
I'm gonna just offer something for that. Like
Yeah.
my thought about that is that I think you, as you referenced earlier, have worked really hard to speak your voice and speak your truth.
Hmm.
And from, I would imagine that a lot of people didn't hear you correctly when you first tried to do that.
Yeah.
Is true? Yes.
Correct.
Right. And so over time, I think I had a similar journey in that regard. And I think we who are in that position try so hard to be heard that at some point we're talking to people that can't hear us, and so we speak louder or we speak in a different way or we change the words, but we just want to hear me, hear me, hear me before we realize, this is my point of like, are you talking to somebody that's willing to listen, right?
Right.
But in that whole way of doing that, I don't know that we're always as blunt as we think we are. It's just rather it's new and that maybe somebody is not hearing because I actually don't think I think you're direct.
Right.
I think you're clear.
Thank you.
And yeah, I think it's and if I think I think in a huge positive is where I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be direct and I want to be
Mhm.
clear.
Mhm.
And, integrity is important to me because I
Mhm.
didn't always have it. And
Mhm.
and I understand the importance of
Mhm.
it on
Mhm.
so many levels. So I don't want to say what you want to hear. I want to say what's true,
Yes. Yes.
you know. So, yeah.
And is everybody open to hearing Satnam, hearing truth?
I don't think so.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, because it'll change the rules of their life sometimes. Sometimes, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's the challenging thing about hearing truth, being willing to hear truth is that you have to be you have to be willing for it to change you if necessary.
Or the relationship or the context of your
Right.
world or whatever it is.
Correct.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, what pivot in life has asked the most of you?
One of the things that I've had to change big time in my life is, and you said this in another conversation, is being a little more picky
Mm.
around who I choose to be around.
Mhm.
And when I was younger, I just wanted to give everyone a chance. Um, I thought, oh, if they want a chance, then I should give them a chance. And almost like the more wounded
Mhm.
they were, um, I wanted to reach out and help, but not everyone wants help.
Yeah.
And so I get really, I try to be very aware of people's language, and I actually, being a victim of something, like someone comes and they rob your house, that's different, but there are some people that feel victimized because someone next to them is pretty
Mhm.
or smart or
Mhm.
and I just pay attention to that, and I try not to spend too much time around
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
that are in that space, because it doesn't feel very safe
Yeah.
to me.
I think that's perfect. I would truly was not going anywhere, but trying to just more understand, what has shifted? Where do you look for? How have you become a different person through your growth points?
Mhm.
So follow up question to what you just shared. I love that. Is who who are your people now? What qualities, what values, what you're kind of not looking for, and then the
Right.
next step is what do I want? And you are also you're in a great relationship now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
there's
know,
like
what a
lots of
miracle.
and I witness you with a lot of healthy like friendships and you're
Yes, a
like
miracle.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's so great. It's such a huge shift, and I, like, can't even believe it sometimes. It's so great. But, I mean, honestly, someone like you, someone who's doing the work themselves, someone who is up to great things, someone who, believes in what's possible in life,
Mhm,
someone who's going for it, someone who works really hard,
mhm,
someone that's not afraid of being in their body, someone who's
mhm,
not afraid to have hard conversations.
mhm,
Those are my people. I don't need all my friends to be sober by
mhm.
any means, but I do feel safe in that area
Yeah.
of where I want people to be conscious, actually,
Yes. Yes.
is what I want. Is I want them to be conscious. And so that's really important to me.
Well, and to circle that back to your ability to now be comfortable with yourself alone allows, I think, you the freedom to want that and to only desire that. Because if you're scared to be alone, but then you can't quite find that you just described, that person that's conscious, then you start to settle, right? The average person starts to
Right.
settle. But if you're comfortable being by yourself, if you have that self love, if you have that fierce protector other
Correct.
part that can come up and be with you when you're alone,
Mhm.
then there's this safety of I can go explore out here and find it. And if I don't, I'm fine. And so that stability in yourself is palpable in witnessing you over the years.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's been a
Mhm.
huge shift.
Yeah,
Huge. It's awesome.
it is awesome.
It is because I know the old me, and it is
Yeah.
so interesting to see myself in my healthy relationships, really healthy relationships.
Yeah. I think some of the things I know we kind of probably should start to wrap up, but I think some of the things that are really standing out for me just to in a positive way, just to to say, I think so, it's so important for us to shine light on one another and say the good things and not keep the good things inside. I just really do believe that we
Right.
should share it. So hopefully that's coming across for you today with me. But also, I just what stands out to me is how you did take care of yourself by putting yourself, yeah, as a yoga teacher all those years that you might have been struggling, and then you continue to put yourself in these accountable positions by owning your studio. I mean, doing an entrepreneurial endeavor, I know, is one of the most spiritual walks I've ever done in my life. It
Correct.
is absolutely one of the most challenging, rewarding, growth oriented things I have ever
I
experienced.
agree.
And when you said, I can't run, I'm the end of the road when I run
Mm.
my own show here. And it's not any other thing than like I have to figure this out. I can't hide. And like you're putting yourself again and again in these positions of being more and more and more conscious, more and more responsible. And the fact that you're doing that and increasing your relationships in your life and the happiness in your life, I mean, there's something really special about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for sharing everything that you shared.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything that you feel left unsaid, or do you feel complete?
I feel good.
Okay, good. I feel good.
Yeah, I feel good. That
I
was
feel great.
great.
And then I will just let the audience know that Diana has been as a I mean, I know you're technically she writes my paycheck for my classes I teach, but in you, it's a beauty that I don't. I mean, I feel like I work for you in respect and reference in that way, but I also don't. I feel like it is a collaboration. I feel like we partner together very, very well, and so we have ongoing events that I get to do at your studio, and they are so beautiful. So currently, I teach yoga once a month, Kundalini yoga for Yoga Nyla. We try to do it the third Wednesday of every month at 10:30. If I am traveling, we sometimes will do that a little bit differently, and
Yeah.
then we have solstice classes, winter and summer solstice, and spring and fall equinox classes that
Yeah.
partner with sound healing or gong baths, sound baths, or some things always amazing things going on at the studio, and you're putting on as well. So we will make sure that Diana's information, website, all of the things are in the show notes. So definitely
Yeah.
check her out. And just thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Heart Wide Open Wellness Podcast. We appreciate your time, energy, and attention. Whether you're watching or listening, please remember to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Stay up to date with us at heartwideopenwellness.com so you don't miss any upcoming events, offerings, or retreats. Until next time, keep your heart wide open.